Now sure, the era of Attitude contained a rattlesnake, a great one, and Mrs. Foley's baby boy. The new generation came equipped with hitmen, heartbreak kids, and big daddy cools. But all things Ruthless Aggression more than held their own with groundbreaking figures, many a king, and various other main event animals when it came to lifting the big one. Gareth here from WhatCulture Wrestling, and here are the 10 best world champions of the WWE Ruthless Aggression era. Number 10, Trish Stratus. The Canadian future Hall of Famer may have initially found herself at the center of some routinely uncomfortable scenarios during her first few years as part of the WWE machine, but by the time the Ruthless Aggression era was up and running, Trish Stratus had established herself as the top lady in the company by some stretch. Whether she was taking it to longtime rival Lita in an historic main event of Raw, or at Unforgiven 2006, battling with Mickie James at WrestleMania 22 at the end of her 448-day reign with the title, or clashing with Victoria at 2002 Survivor Series, Stratus could typically always be counted on to deliver the goods whenever she was in the women's world title picture. Had it not been for those high-profile moments of unquestionable Stratusfaction, then there's a solid chance many of the freakishly gifted women occupying the wrestling landscape today may not have been inspired to lace up a pair of boots in the first place. Number 9, Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle's first few runs with the top straps in the company may have come during WWE's Attitude Era, but there's no doubting that his more memorable periods on top went down during the Ruthless Aggression portion of the WWE timeline. After feeling like a bit of a supporting character during the time of the Great One and Austin 316, Angle fully evolved into a wrestling machine main event sensation from 2002 onwards. Take your pick between his time as SmackDown's workhorse unexpected World Heavyweight Champion after Batista suddenly went down injured in 2006, his returning run as WWE Champion in the wake of falling to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 19, and his impressive spell holding that same strap leading into the show of shows. All three of the captivating reigns helped cement Angle as an all-time great top champ in the company. And perhaps the most impressive part of Angle's Ruthless Aggression era of World Championship supremacy was the way he managed to elevate the likes of Brock Lesnar, Charlie Haas, Shelton Benjamin, Rey Mysterio, and Randy Orton during his top-of-the-card spell. Number 8, Triple H. There's no denying that Triple H was one of the most decorated world champions operating in the period spanning 2002 to 2008. After being handed the recently created World Heavyweight Championship back in September 2002, the cerebral assassin went on to hold that belt for much of the subsequent hit and miss 3 years, a period that would ultimately become known as the Reign of Terror, you know, MJF's fave. Yet while that particular spell of dominance may have done more harm than good in the end, Trips did at least help put over stars like Batista towards the latter stages of the divisive run. In terms of generally more fondly remembered times the game spent on top though, many point to the future head of WWE creative stint as a SmackDown superstar post-2008 draft, whilst holding the WWE Championship as one of the most successful runs of Triple H's career. Here, the long-time main eventer was able to throw down in fresh programs with the likes of Edge and Jeff Hardy during what would ultimately become his longest period holding WWE's top prize. Number 7, Mickie James. Another trailblazer of the women's division who changed the game somewhat throughout the Ruthless Aggression era. Right out of the gates, Mickie James was able to stand out from the rest of the pack, with her legendary storyline worked opposite then women's champion Trish Stratus. Her obsessed fan turned heartbroken bitter enemy of the champ's spell helped eventually catapult her into a high-profile Mania 22 title win over the eventual WWE Hall of Famer. But this was merely the beginning of a decorated and hugely influential run for James, one that would eventually see her lift the women's championship on 5 separate occasions, on top of a solitary Divas title reign too. A notable Survivor Series 2006 battle with Lita that acted as the fallen champ's full-time send-off, and a somewhat underrated fight with Beth Phoenix on an April 2008 edition of Raw over the women's world title strap are just a few examples of James well and truly elevating the division at a time when women's wrestling still wasn't being taken as seriously as it thankfully would be a little later down the road. Unquestionably one of the most gifted in-ring and on-the-mic champs to grace WWE's women's division, and a surefire future Hall of Famer. Number 6, Eddie Guerrero. Still ranking as one of the greatest babyface upsets in WWE history, Eddie Guerrero's title belt-assisted conquering of the Beast at No Way Out 2004 will never not bring a smile to the average wrestling fan's mug. And while it may not have ultimately been the longest of reigns by any means, with Latino Heat dropping the title to JBL just 4 months after toppling Brock Lesnar, it still came equipped with some of the most memorable performances and moments of the Ruthless Aggression era, along with a classic showing opposite Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 20, one containing arguably the most creative finish of the era thanks to a cheeky loose boot, Guerrero also put on a few great showcases against JBL that helped put over the eventual longest reigning WWE champion in SmackDown history. The iconic star was taken far too soon and likely could have added another few adored runs with the WWE or World Heavyweight Championship strap had he not tragically passed away in 2005. But his brief time lying, cheating and stealing at the top of the blue brand will always be fondly remembered by the wrestling world. Number 5. Randy Orton. Picking up the first few of what would ultimately go on to be a staggering 14 World Championships during the time of all things Ruthless, Randy Orton managed to win both the WWE and World Heavyweight Championships within his first 5 years of being a main roster player. Neither of those initial runs with the top titles would sit as one of his most dominant or impressive, it must be said, with Orton ultimately dropping the World Heavyweight Championship to his one-time Evolution leader Triple H after about a month and being initially dethroned by Trips again after being rewarded the WWE title at No Mercy 2007. That being said, the Viper would at least regain that belt later on in the night, conquering the game in a last man standing match, and he'd then go on to enjoy his longest reign with the WWE strap from there on out, defending it for 202 days against the likes of Chris Jericho, John Cena, Shawn Michaels and Jeff Hardy. And it was that dominant run in particular that helped really establish the slippery snake of a heel as a main event threat not to be messed with, as he sadistically tormented his prey on the mic and in between the ropes. Number 4. Brock Lesnar. Everyone has their go-to champ when thinking about a certain world title design or era in WWE history. In the case of the spinner strap, it's likely Super Cena. The winged eagle usually evokes memories of the Hitman. And when it comes to the WWE Undisputed Championship that would eventually become SmackDown exclusive from August 2002, most would almost immediately conjure up the image of the next big thing flexing his traps with the gold around his massive waist. And it's not hard to see why, really. From the minute he conquered The Rock to become the youngest WWE champion of all time at SummerSlam 2002, Brock Lesnar set about dominating the landscape and putting on some of the strongest bouts of the era. His always impressive and grueling contests opposite stars like Kurt Angle, The Undertaker, Big Show and Eddie Guerrero all helped immortalize the Beast as the freak main event sensation he looked destined to become from day one. This increasingly epic run only lasted around 2 years, of course, with Brock ultimately kissing goodbye to sports entertainment for nearly a decade after WrestleMania 20. But his time reigning as SmackDown's top guy still routinely produced some of the Blue Show's finest ruthless aggression moments. Number 3. Edge. Coming into 2005, the evidently talented Edge had just never quite clicked as the top of the card superstar he always had the potential to become. But a victory in the inaugural Money in the Bank ladder match and shift towards a more dastardly and opportunistic character finally appeared to be setting the stage for that long-awaited level up. Still ranking as one of the most shocking cash-ins of all time, Edge would lift his first ever WWE Championship after pulverizing John Cena post-Elimination Chamber War at New Year's Revolution 2006. And while this first reign wouldn't even last a month, it still contained one of the most controversial moments in Ruthless Aggression history in the form of that live sex celebration insanity, after then cementing himself as a main event heel to be taken seriously in his freakishly extreme fight with Mick Foley at Mania 22. The rated R superstar eventually proceeded to pick right up where he left off in July of that year. That second WWE Championship win would pave the way for absolutely stellar contests opposite his great rival John Cena, with an Unforgiven TLC classic being the pick of the bunch. And from there, Edge would inevitably cheat, scheme and sneak his way to a few World Heavyweight Championship victories too, with his particularly notable spell with the strap from Armageddon 2007 to WrestleMania 24, leading to another in-ring masterpiece opposite The Undertaker in the Show of Shows main event. Number 2. Batista. As already noted, the Animals Classic program opposite his former Evolution mentor, The Game, heading into WrestleMania 21, fully established Batista as a person capable of carrying the company into the future. His crowning moment on the grandest stage sits as one of the most memorable visuals of the entire Ruthless Aggression era, and it just so happened to kick off one hell of a World Heavyweight Championship reign. The initial 282-day period holding the big gold belt saw Batista fully grow into an undisputed top guy, emphatically battering the Game on 2 more occasions before being drafted to SmackDown. But this all-conquering and celebrated babyface run was ultimately forced to an abrupt end due to an unfortunate injury in January 2006. Delivering on his promise to regain his belt before WrestleMania 23 though, Batista resumed his era of Blue Show dominance at Survivor Series, before ultimately getting locked into one of the greatest feuds of the time with The Undertaker. Their Mania 23, Cyber Sunday and Survivor Series wars all simply further cemented the eventual Guardian of the Galaxy as one of the most dependable and effective world champions ever to walk alone in the time of Ruthless Aggression. Number 1. John Cena. Cena. Along with being the person synonymous with the legendary two words that would define an era, John Cena's time holding the WWE Championship during the Ruthless Aggression period in WWE laid the foundations for his eventually unrivaled time sitting at the very tippy top. Things got off to a fiery and passionately supported start, with the plucky underdog seeing off JBL at Mania 21 to win his first world title. A quick spinner makeover later, the champ was well and truly here, and he'd go on to hold the garish belt for 279 days as he overcame the likes of Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho, and Shawn Michaels on The Red Show. A second spell with the strap after a brief rated R detour would see Cena famously collide with the King of Kings at Mania 22, during a time when fans were beginning to grow tired of this particular face running the place. But countless other iconic moments in time were brought into existence by Super Cena from here on out, with his defiant last stand in an ECW ring against Rob Van Dam, hellacious war with Edge at Unforgiven, last man standing clash with Umaga at the 2007 Royal Rumble, and many more top displays opposite HBK, Bobby Lashley, and Randy Orton, all guaranteeing that he would be forever remembered as the greatest world champ to put it all on the line throughout the era he helped get underway in his bright red trunks. And that is our list. Know of any other awesome world champions of the WWE Ruthless Aggression era? Well, let us know all about them in the comments section right down below, and do not forget to like, share, and click on that subscribe button while you're at it. Also, if you're into this sort of ruthless stuff, then please head on over to WhatCulture.com and find some more fantastic articles just like the one this video you're watching right now is based on. I've been Gareth from WhatCulture Wrestling. Thank you very much for watching this video today. Don't be a stranger and have yourself the best of days. Bye bye!